Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Chris McGee, Robert Ory, James Worthy. We got Mike Trudell down at the arena. The Lakers season comes to an end. OKC completes the sweep. They will be in the Western Conference Finals. A valiant effort by the Lakers in that second half. They had their chances, fellas, to win the game. They had a 4-point lead, James, going into that fourth quarter. OKC closes on a 28-18 run. Hit some big shots down the stretch. AR had a look at it on that last play. Yeah. They were talking about it, no Rui in the game on that play, and just missed. But go ahead, say your words. It's always tough when the season ends.
Yeah, it is, Geeter. And look, Oklahoma's a fine basketball team. They really are on both ends, and they're deep. I thought the Lakers played one of the best games of the season tonight. With Oklahoma, every possession is so critical. Like, I thought the Lakers had momentum. LeBron, that little soft pass at the end, the long pass, I know we get that a lot, but you can't afford to, lose possession of the basketball in critical moments. Now, if it succeeds, then we're good, but I just thought that Mitchell, the fact that Marcus Smart's done a pretty good job on Shea up until the night, he got his tonight, but every time we had an opportunity, Mitchell with the layup, with the three, we give up an offensive rebound, long rebound. It resulted in a three. Not that many of them, not that many, turnovers really, but turnovers in critical situations. We played a masterful game. I just thought that Oklahoma just took advantage of turnovers, and they had Shea and they had Mitchell and they had Heinstein, who played really well. Holgram at the end at that Duncan's corner. They're a tough team to beat. I thought the Lakers did the best they could, but just came up a little short, Geeter.
Yeah, when you look at complete basketball teams, and this is one of the most complete basketball teams you've probably seen in a long time. And when you look at teams, you say, okay, where is their weakness? Can you point out one with this team? They have a really great bench. That's the first thing people normally look at. It says, well, who's the worst defender on that team? You can't really pick one. And that's why they're the #1 defensive team in the league. And that's what you want out of a team. You think about how they was able to blow by some of our players with ease. And the thing about OKC is, I know a lot of people get mad at them foul hunting, but they're smart. Shea Gilgeous is one of the masters. He'll see you right there. He'll just run straight into you. And he knows that in this league, this day and age, everything belongs to the offensive player. And that's what some of our players have to start doing and start avoiding it. But you really, really have to tip your hat to this OKC team. Yeah. You think about down the stretch, that even how well oiled that last play where Hartenstein says, okay, I'm going to give it to Chet because I'm not confident in my floater. And Chet knew it was coming. He took his time. He went up and dunked it. They went up. And so when you look at teams,
traveled, by the way.
Yeah, he might have traveled, but everybody travels in the NBA. Yeah. And for me, that just shows you how smart and how well oiled they are. And I don't even think sometimes you can walk away from a series and be disappointed when you thought you was going to win. I don't think anybody in the world thought the Lakers were going to win. That's no disrespect to the Lakers. That just shows you how good OKC is. We'd have had Luka, I thought we would have won. Mm-hmm. But without Luka, it's kind of hard to go up against a juggernaut like OKC.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Jared McCain, who's plus 27 in a 5-point game and had 3 big threes. Hartenstein, who we had mentioned, was a plus 30, and this is a really close game. But I do want to show you guys this last play. Okay. Austin Reaves, James, I'll start with you. He has a look here, just misses it. The Lakers are down 3 at this point. Tough shot.
You can't ask for a better look. And for a guy that you want to take the shot, I'm surprised that they allowed him to get that wide open. I'm surprised that they, didn't protect the three-point line, but that kind of went in and out. This is the look that Austin Reaves kind of drifting to the left a little bit,
he drifted to the left and he missed it left.
Yeah, missed it left.
Yeah, and for me, I sorry to interrupt you, James.
No, I'm good.
To me, we got guys who want to be the hero so bad. Sometimes, you look at the greats like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they kick it to the others. You can get that. Everybody know you're going to take that shot. Take one more dribble. Get a better shot. I thought everybody said that was a good shot. You can't get a good shot right now. You got to get a great shot. And to me, that was an okay shot. you 5 feet behind the three-point line, you're going left, drifting, and you haven't been shooting the ball very well. Like right here, LeBron, you got to move. You just standing there. You could in this possession, you could have turned the corner, got a quick 2 foul. There's so many other things, and this is coming from a guy who's always wanted to take the 3 to win. But there's situational situations. You got to look. There's 11 seconds on that clock. You go to the hole, you score 8 seconds, then you foul. They might miss one. Now you don't have to get a 3 to tie it up. You might get a 3 to win. So I think sometimes we go with the hero ball way too much. And for me, you have to be smart down there. But, what do I know?
I was wondering why there was a reason why. I mean, you pointed it out.
Yeah.
Why Rui went in the game, who shoots a high. I don't know whether it's easier to switch when he's in there or what, but that was a big percentage 3 that wasn't on the court.
Guys, we got to talk a little OKC. We'll start with A.J. Mitchell. I know Shea was the leading scorer, but A.J. Mitchell was the backbreaker all series long. I mean, no Jalen Williams. And you talk about a guy out of UC Santa Barbara in his second year, was playing 7 minutes a game last year and really broke through this year due to the injuries to OKC. And he ends up with 28 points on 12 of 19. But his ability, James, to control the game, and if you doubled Shea or the ball was in his hands, it was like having the ball in the hands of a star. I'm not calling him a star, but he sure was.
He was a star. He's been the star, one of the stars in this series. I mean, when Shea's out of the game, at that position,
It's smiling.
It's no difference. He's taking people one-on-one off the dribble. He's shooting threes.
Layups,
He's
mid-range.
shooting over bigs.
Yeah.
He's crafty. My God, he's got one more year.
It's a guy on an $8 million deal for 3 years.
Yeah.
2 more years.
He's the 15th highest paid player on the
weird.
OKC Thunder and the 14th highest
He
paid
won't be
Jared
there in
McCain.
2 years because they can't afford him. Because they're going to be like $100 million over the cap.
Yeah.
So they can't afford him. So Lakers, hey, if you can't beat him, make him join us.
Yeah.
But I want to point out something to people at home. 35-28, right?
Yep.
They only made 2 threes. So that goes to show you right there. When everybody want to sit back and make all these threes, it ain't about making threes. What do I say all the time? It's about getting buckets, right? These guys know how to get buckets. They love you to sleep. They know how to draw the fouls. They know how to get to their points. And that's what players got to understand. You get to your point on the floor where you most comfortable at, you're going to knock down that shot. And that's what Shea does. And you think about this. This guy is going up against Shea every day in practice, and he's like this, taking notes. Oh, that's how Shea get his buckets, writing it down. Oh, that's how he gets to the free throw. Add it to my repertoire. And that goes to show you when you go out and you learn it from greats like that, and they want you to. I think Shea said he don't even shoot the ball in practice, which is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. He wants his other guys to feel empowered. And for me, that's one of the things that our team really has to learn. And stop trying to hunt fouls, get to your point, your comfort zone, and knock down Jays.
Let's talk Shea, guys. 39 minutes, 11 of 22. This was his best game of the series, 35 points, and a lot of it came from the free throw line. He got there 15 times, James, and made 12 of them. He's actually -7 for the game. But in the end, it's Shea's team.
Yeah, and there was spurts in the third and fourth quarter there where they needed some offense, and he got busy. He kept them in the game when the Lakers were, making a run. He got maybe about 4 or 5 shots from a variety of places, layups, a 3. The 12-footer, the 10-footer, and when he came back in, he got hot. And so when Mitchell was hot, Shea came back in, gave him the lift that they needed.
Look at that, what I just said. Just getting to his point, rising up, knocking down Jays. And so many people criticize a guy like DeMar DeRozan, oh, you don't shoot threes. This was Kobe Bryant before he started shooting threes. You think about when Kobe was number 8. That's how Kobe got his buckets. He was still getting buckets. And I think Shea probably like, okay, this is how you do it. And for me, I am so impressed by how he plays the game. He understands it's not about, knocking down threes. It's about controlling what I do. Sort of like what Luka does, controlling and manipulating the defense. When you want to try to double team me, let everybody eat. Think about it. Games 1, 2, and 3, everybody ate. This game, he's like, what? Who's the star of this team? Get on my back.
He was bound to have a game where he got to the free throw line as well.
And that's what he did
15
tonight.
times. Yeah. Let's talk a little Lakers here, guys. 53 wins.
Great season.
A lot of injuries. this year too. Really battled through all of that. Won a round in the playoffs as a big underdog against Houston without Luka Dončić. And you got to be proud of the way they fought in that Game 4, James, as well. So just your thoughts on this Lakers season as a whole. Because it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I'll always remember that month of March, I'll tell you that.
I think they achieved just about everything they wanted to achieve this year, Geeter. You know, getting to that 4th place, and they got to that spot, that seed, with injuries throughout the season, not having a full team, they were still able to get it together. And then when they got everybody back, they went on that amazing run on that road trip. I think a 6-2 record, and they continued to play, you know, really good basketball. They got it together. They found their identity on the defensive end, which is really what turned things around. And they were on their way to, you know, succeeding, you know, in that 4th seed, you know, took out the Rockets. Unfortunately, you don't have Luka, and you just get Austin Reaves back where he's working his way back into it. He's finally got back, but yeah, it was a big disappointment not having everybody healthy after achieving some success, you know, after the All-Star break.
Yeah, the success was wonderful what they was able to do. You just hate the fact that Luka got hurt. You hate the fact that they never were whole. You think about all the games we lost at the beginning of the year, and LeBron was out with his sciatica. You know, it's so many losses that we got, so many opportunities that were fell by the wayside. And you think about, okay, if you're in a different position, this is OKC you meet because you got the same seed as a Denver Nuggets. Who knows? But you know, if it was a 5th, we all be drunk, right?
Yeah.
So, but my whole thing is like you gotta learn from this. You know, the Lakers have a golden opportunity to learn from all this and move on. And it's a tough loss, but you gotta understand you was missing the leading scorer in the NBA, and you still showed the fight and you showed the resilience of a really championship team. So, you know, I hope the Laker fans out there understand that, you know, but they did a great job this season.
All right, time to hear from Coach JJ Redick, brought to you by your Toyota dealers.
JJ, I think I asked you kind of a general question after the Houston series, and you kind of responded with gratitude kind of for the players and the coaches. That even though this comes at a loss, do you have that similar sense of that fight, or is it still kind of too soon and too raw after the loss?
I think when the season ends, there's always, I would say, a whirlwind of emotions. Certainly feeling a sense of gratitude for our players, the Lakers, our fan base. Yeah. Really like that, you know, you've seen these 3-0 games before, and I thought there were 2 different times during the game where our team could have gave in, could have let go of the rope. We didn't. I thought the crowd was awesome tonight, and I've been part of these on both sides where it's a 3-0 and you're playing on the road or you're playing at home, and the crowd can just not be great. And the crowd was awesome tonight. Our fans are awesome. Yeah, gratitude. Yeah.
You're playing the defending champs, and we spoke to you and your group about championship all year long. What's the gap between your group and a championship group?
That's what we got to figure out this offseason. I will say, for the things that we set out to do and build our championship habits and build our championship communication and championship shape, I thought we were darn close to doing that. And it doesn't mean you're going to win a championship, but I take a lot of pride in our players and what they all individually went through, what we collectively went through, and what we turned out to be. You don't know on day one of training camp what you're going to turn out to be, and just proud of who we are.
JJ, you spoke a lot this year about the human element. This team has a lot of people that are going to be free agents next year. obviously, like the likelihood that this group in total will be intact is low. How did you just think your team navigated all of that this year in total, like the human stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think for everybody involved, that's the part of it that is human, is that there is highs and lows and frustrations and moments of triumph and joy and belief and doubt. It's just you're one game, you're one quarter, you're one play away from supreme confidence or a little bit of doubt creeping in. I think Rory said it one time. He said, when you're playing bad, it can seem so far away, and then when you're playing good, how did I ever think that it was that far away? And I think for our team, like, we went through every single thing this year, stayed together, and I think hopefully put a team out that our fans can celebrate, not in the way that we all want to celebrate, certainly.
JJ, what was it about this game and that moment that makes you so emotional, and about playing this game makes people so emotional when you lose a series like this?
Yeah, I told the team this. This is my 17th year being part of an NBA team, and I've always looked at every team I've been a part of, every team I've been on, as a living organism. And I've maybe talked about this once before. And during the course of a season, sometimes that organism is healthy and thriving, and sometimes that organism can get the flu, and sometimes that organism can get really sick. Now, we experienced all of that this year. When the season ends, that organism is dead. And that organism will never live again. I mean, you bring up the free agent thing. Sometimes you might have one or two of those guys, and we have half our team. I'm like I'm a little white kid from the sticks in Virginia, and I get to do this. That's why it's emotional, because I care more than. I mean, I hate to say this about my family, but I care as much about this as anything. And I love my wife and kids, but that's why. It's just I didn't want our season to end. I wanted to keep this thing going. I enjoyed every bit of this year.
JJ, you've talked about kind of celebrating small wins throughout this season. Obviously, you would like to be celebrating a different win tonight. But when you are processing the season right now, even though it's still so raw, like, what are some of the small wins that you think you can celebrate heading into the future for this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a lot of guys that had great individual seasons. I think anytime you can win 50 games, anytime you can be get home court in the first round, I think one of the biggest wins for us, and I talked all the time towards the end of the season and in the playoffs about our resiliency. I think one of the biggest wins for us is the multiple times throughout the regular season and the multiple times towards the end of the regular season with the injuries and during the playoffs where we could have just laid down. Tonight would have been an easy night for us to lay down. And I don't know who the F came up with moral victories. I don't even know what that phrase means. I don't believe in it. But I look at all the small wins along the way as part of the journey. And for each of these guys, it's part of their journey this season. And for each of my coaches, it's part of our journey. For Lakers fans who maybe this is their second year because Luka got traded, this is part of their fandom. And it's just part of it.
JJ, you had mentioned, I think, after you guys lost to Phoenix and Orlando after the All-Star break, that you were still searching for this team's identity. When you look at the way they fought tonight and throughout the series, what do you think that identity ended up being?
I think it ended up being a really hard-playing team, a really together team, and a team with a lot of heart.
Hey, JJ, obviously LeBron is uncertain about his future. Has that part of this hit you yet, that this could be goodbye to him?
I haven't even thought about that. And again, we'll deal with the off season in the off season, which is, the next 2 months.
JJ, when you're just thinking about how close or how far you are, how important is continuity, right? Just building continuity from one season to the next, having similar guys that can grow together and build an identity.
Yeah, I believe in continuity, but I do think that there's, if you're trying to win a championship, what this organization is, and I'm trying to win a championship, I know RP's trying to win a championship, I know Jeannie is, I know Mark is, we're trying to win a championship. And so you have to be realistic and assess where you're at, and we're not good enough right now. And there probably will be some continuity, there probably won't be, but that's what the next 2 months are for.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Any takeaways, guys, from what JJ said? He talked about of it and how tough it is, how much he cares, and what the goals ultimately are. But there's a lot of joy he took from this season, and it's hard to have it end. I mean, when you care that much, and you guys have all been a part of it.
There's a lot of positivity to take from this year. It's the second year. He took this team from bottom of the seed to fourth, even when they weren't healthy. He demanded a lot out of his guys. On point. They come out of a timeout. He didn't mind communicating with them. I thought that was good. They got used to that. They beat the Rockets. That was they weren't favored there. That was a nice achievement. And then they played very well against the Oklahoma team, who's the best. So, there is something to look at and see what the missing pieces are or what you need to do to improve. But there's a lot of positive to look at, and when you look at that positive, it'll help you look forward to the future to get where the Lakers need to get to.
He better care. We all care.
Yeah,
we care how the Lakers, process goes, and we want the process to be a championship every year. That's why we have 17 of them things. For me, you look at the way I think for me, the turning moment was where he started really coaching. Because sometimes you come in, you try a new coach, you never coached before, you try to be like friends. You can't be friends. Yeah. You got to coach these guys. You got to put the guys in the right position. You can't show favors to people. Mm-hmm. That's the worst thing to do as a coach. I think he kind of got out of that situation, and he started coaching the guys and started putting guys in a position, to play. And I think that one thing, from an outside looking in and play with some really great coaches, he has to learn how to put people in a position to be successful. And one of the things that I thought that he needs to learn how to do is how to play Vando if you're going to play him. Vando's not a very good three-point shooter, so don't stick him in the corner. Learn how to put him in a dunker spot. Let him use his athleticism. Do you think about a couple years ago, before JJ got it, what Vando would do? He would tip the ball out, we get another possession because he's got his hand on it. It's little things like that, and I think, think about it. He's never coached before. And you got a chance to coach LeBron James. Now you got a chance to coach Luka Dončić. He's still learning. So once he gets, a squad that's kind of like here, and they're learning one another, like an OKC. You think about OKC team has been together like 4 or 5 years, even though they're young, but they've been together a long time. So they're able to mature, understand each other. And the Lakers' door has been like, okay, revolving. You think we got Marcus Smart, new guy. DeAndre Ayton, new guy. There's always someone coming in. And it's hard for a coach to have all these new guys come in and still trying to get a system and formulate a continuity. So he's still learning on the job, but he got some great players to help him learn on the job.
Yeah, all right, guys. Austin Reaves and Marcus Smart with the media.
Hey, Austin, I know, first of all, you hate losing, but JJ just kind of summarized the team as really hard playing, a ton of hard, kind of fought and stayed together throughout. Can you reflect on that, not just kind of tonight's game, but the season to this point, and how you guys did go out tonight, scratching and clawing the whole way?
Yeah, I mean, JJ touched on it, I'm sure, in here and in the locker room after the game. It's been fun. It's been a joy. It's been a grind. A lot of things didn't go our way this season, and there was a lot of opportunities for us to quit. And that's not who we got in the locker room or the organization. Everybody stuck together. He touched on that OKC game in OKC when we lost. I got hurt. Luka got hurt. We go to Dallas, we lose. I've been around the NBA for 5 years now. I know a lot of teams would have given up then, and that wasn't the case with this team. It's been fun to go to work every single day. Love this team.
Austin, in a sense, you bet on yourself this season and put up career numbers, and was able to battle back from an injury to be playing in the playoffs. How do you feel about your future heading into this offseason?
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like I said, I've been around for 5 years, and y'all, I would say, know me pretty well. Wherever Dan's at, probably knows me a little better, but I don't think about much. I'd take life day by day, and I'm just blessed to have an opportunity to play for this organization, play a kid's game. I make good money, but like I said, I don't think about what I'm really going to do in the future. Kind of just day by day.
That being said, JJ kind of made it a point that, every year when the season ends, it's over, right? And whatever comes next is going to be different. You've gotten to share the court with LeBron James for your entire NBA career. What's that been like for you, and what would it mean to you if that was able to continue?
Man, it would mean the world to me. I don't know anything different. My rookie year, I had no idea what the hell was going on, and he basically took me under his wing and given me every opportunity that I could ever ask for, trusted me. But, further than the court, building real friendship. He obviously is into golf now, so we're a lot closer. So, but yeah, it's been super fun. I hope to, continue to do that. He's taught me a lot. I owe him a lot for my career. Like I said, he's given me confidence every single day. I mean, after I missed a three to tie the game, he's walking by and he was like, hell of a shot, keep your head up. So just speaks to the character that he has, and whatever he does on the court, y'all seen it. I don't have to talk about it.
Marcus, you have had your battles against LeBron. Now you're his teammate. Is there hope that you're still his teammate again because both you guys have decisions to make?
Yeah. I mean, you never know. LeBron's been doing this for 23. I've been doing this for 12. We've seen some things in this league, right? Some things you probably shouldn't have seen, some things you probably wouldn't have thought you'd seen. So I really don't know. I would hope so. The battles against him were fun. Being his teammate was fun. We all know the IQ that he brings to this game. And so, like Austin said, the confidence, right? He gave everybody in that locker room confidence, especially, when AR and Luka went down, right? We needed some guys to step up, and the confidence just raised. So that speaks volume about who he is. Definitely hope, but we'll see.
I don't know, for both of you, when you look at how this series against Oklahoma City went, where do you think kind of the, for lack of better phrasing, pitfalls were when comparing yourself to how they were able to come out and sweep you in 4 games?
I mean, you playing the defending champs, right? With probably, a 2-time MVP. Shai's probably going to get it again, right? They got a great supporting cast behind them, great coaches, and they got a great game plan. We got a guy like that and a team like that. They've seen a lot. And they did a very good job, adjusting. But for us, I'm proud of this team. Proud of the way we felt. Like Austin says, plenty of times in this season where we could have gave up, right? We could have threw the towel in. Everybody counting us out, and we understood, So we just wanted to keep going and fight. And I think we did that tonight. The outcome, the result wasn't the way we wanted, but we went down swinging, and that's all you can ask for.
Hey, Austin. You had a career season. What did it feel like to take your game to that level? And do you feel like you've even touched on what you're capable of yet?
This has obviously been my best season since I've been a pro. The numbers and stuff. I always feel like, that's the beautiful thing about basketball is there's always opportunities and areas that you can continue to grow. You're never going to be complete in the full game. So take some time off and get back in the gym and continue to get better.
Thanks, guys.
LeBron, I'm sure we'll get to future questions soon, but JJ always talks about, or talked about before the game, the level of focus that he saw in you and kind of the leadership. how do you go from that, and then you guys battle to the way that you did, and then it's over? Like how does that transition in your headspace at this point of doing it for so much time and all that you put into it?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a process. It's not about to happen right now. The process of thinking about the whole season and its brutality. I mean, and then processing it over the next, we'll say, couple weeks. And look back on some of the things you did great, some of the things you didn't do too well, some of the things that you, wish it would have went this way. But at the end of the day, you control the controllables, and what you can't control, you don't, try to, let it affect you too much or affect you at all. So, yeah.
LeBron, you've spoken to us about retirement more than at any other point in your career as this season played out. What do you feel like's left for you in the NBA?
Well, I think you guys asked me about it, and I've answered questions. Yeah, I don't think I've come out and was like, oh, retirement is coming. So, I mean, with my future, I don't know, obviously. I mean, obviously we're still fresh from, obviously losing, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the future holds for me, obviously, as it stands right now tonight. I got a lot of time. I'll sit back, like I think I said it last year after we lost, I think, to Minnesota, to go back and recalibrate with my family and talk with them and spend some time with them. And then when the time comes, obviously, you guys will know what I decide to do.
LeBron, this is the longest stretch of your career that you've spent in one place. What are the moments that you carry with you as a Laker that, like, at the top of your mind right now that stand out as special things you were able to do here?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, obviously winning the championship 2020 will stand at the top. I mean, that was the reason why I came here, to restore, that level of play and restore this franchise back to what it was known for, of winning championships and playing at a high level. And, to be out there with that group and go out there and win a championship and us competing at a championship level was something I kind of envisioned, and we was able to accomplish that. So that would stand at the top for sure.
LeBron, we asked you throughout the season about this team's identity. Now that we're at the end, how would you define that identity, and what did you like about it?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was so many different seasons in one season with our ball club, and obviously injuries played a big part of it. But as far as our identity, I thought we were super resilient, and whatever that happened, either if it was me at the beginning of the season, or if it was AR going down, or if it was Luka going down, or reshaping lineups and guys stepping up and playing, we stayed resilient. And for our group to have the moment that we had when Luka goes down, with the hamstring, and then AR goes down with the oblique, and we staring down the barrel of a playoff series, versus Houston. And I thought our guys just responded and was super resilient for us to, win that series was big time for the group that was possessed to go out there. So I would say resilient. I think that was the number one thing for that ball club, for our ball club this year.
LeBron, we just spoke to Austin a few minutes ago, and when he was asked about potentially playing with you beyond this year, he said it would, quote unquote, mean the world to him. How have you seen Austin grow since as he put it, you took him under his wing when he got here? How have you seen him grow since he's been here, and now that he's going to be on the market for potentially a lot of money?
Well, that last part has nothing to do with me. Listen, him and his team will handle that situation. But just seeing AR grow over what was 5 years, there's been nothing short of amazing. I mean, he's a hard worker. He loves the game. He wants to get better, and he's not afraid of constructive criticism. And I kind of knew that from the beginning. I saw the talent, but I also saw that he was willing to put the work in and willing to. He wasn't afraid of the moment. So to see where he is today is awesome, and it's something that I knew he could be a big time player for our ball club, and I knew, if he just got the opportunity, and also he gained the confidence in himself that he knows he belonged in this league, then he could do some special things in this league, and he's obviously showed that.
LeBron, in year 23, how different did this feel walking up the court, not knowing what the future holds for you versus past years when we knew you were coming back to play?
I don't know. I mean, I guess when you get like over 40, you start forgetting shit that happened. So I don't even remember many of the last times walking off the court. But listen, like I said, I mean, shit, I left everything I could out on the floor. I control what I can control, and I can leave the floor saying like, shit. I mean, even though I hate losing, obviously, but I was locked in on what we needed to do. Made sure that I tried to make sure our guys were locked in on what we needed to do throughout the postseason, throughout 10 games. And obviously we fell a little short, obviously, but I mean, I'm not looking at, my year as a disappointment. That's for damn sure. Especially, I was put into some positions I've never played in my career before. Actually, in my life. I've never been a third option in my life. So to be able to, thrive in that role for that period of time, and then have to step back into the role that I've been accustomed with over my career, over my life of playing a sport, and be able to thrive under that, and then just my teammates allowing me to lead them under extreme circumstances, that was pretty cool for me at this stage of my career.
LeBron, if you don't know what the future holds, I guess that means inherently this could be it. Do you allow yourself to kind of those last handshakes and this last press conference?
Last handshakes? No, I don't know, because I have no idea. I mean, shit, none of us in here know what the future holds. None of us. Nobody has any idea what the future holds, and I don't either. Like I said, I'll take time to recalibrate and look over the season and see what's best for my future. And when I get to that point, everyone will know.
Hey, Bron. You've changed the league in so many ways. How do you think you defined it this year, and what did the season mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Obviously, every season has its own chapter. And there was many different points of this season where looking at the school, looking at our team, looking at what we were capable of, and for me, I started the season not playing, missing the first 14 games, missing training camp, missing preseason. It was the first time for me doing that. So that was challenging in its own right, just to get back and questioning yourself at times if you feel like you're gonna be able to get back to what you know you can do and do at this level, and to be able to do that and just keep pushing the limit as much as I could. At this stage of my career, it was something that it's been pretty cool. And to be able to still be able to make an impact on the team that's competing, that's pretty cool too. And like I said, I think after the Houston series, to be able to win a playoff series with some guys that, one, either never been in the playoffs before, and two, never won a playoff series before. To be in a bunker, to be in a foxhole with guys with that that was pretty awesome too. So just try to make an impact, every year that I'm on the floor. The one thing that is that you're probably going to have a rookie that joins the team that doesn't know what the NBA is all about, and it's always been my responsibility to kind of lead by example and also lead by a voice and to show them what being a professional is all about, and that's always been important to me.
Last three.
Hey, Ron. You could play at this level for another 5 years or so if you wanted. When you reflect mentally and spiritually on whether you want to keep going, what's the decision process going to be like for you behind closed doors?
I don't know. I think for me, it's about the process. Like, if I can commit to still being in love with the process of showing up to the arena 5.5 hours before a game to start preparing for a game, giving everything I got, diving for loose balls, and doing everything that you know that it takes to go out and play, and showing up to practices 11 o'clock practice, I'm there at 8 o'clock, preparing my body, preparing my mind, preparing to practice, to put the work in. And, so I think for me, I've always been in love with the process and not the aftermath of like, okay, well, we won that game, or we won a championship, or I've always enjoyed the process and more than the outcome. So I think that would be a big factor. And then also, have a conversation with my 12-year-old daughter. That's a big factor. And my 19-year-old son is entering his second year at Arizona, and my wife as well. So they're a huge factor in any decision I've made. So they'll be a big part of it as well.
Ron, so I know that you mentioned how different this year was for you, and I don't get to ask many 40-year-old athletes this, but are there things as a basketball player that you'd want to show that you haven't gotten to show in subsequent years, even next year?
Yeah, no. I mean, I did it this year. I mean, shit. Yeah, there's nothing I need to show, in this league. As far as like, okay, well, I want to show people I can do this, or show myself I can do this. I've done it all. I've seen it all. So, just being able to compete and trying to win championships, I think that's a motivating factor. It's always been, since I've probably. First time I touched the postseason in 2006, it was like, how can I compete for a championship? Like when I touched the postseason, I was like, oh, this is something I want to be a part of for a long time. So, and obviously I've had some success in the postseason throughout my career. But as far as me individually, no. No.
Last question. LeBron, I wanted to ask you. You talked a bit about loving the process. Can you talk about the love for the game itself? Forget the process. Is it still there? Do you love this sport?
Well, I mean, I can't forget the process. It's impossible. That's just part of my DNA. But the love of the game is always there. I don't think that ever goes away, no matter if you. I mean, you've seen the interview earlier in the year. I think MJ did the interview with Mike Tirico, and he was just talking about his desire of the game still, like even though he's not playing, but like he still loves the game. Like that shit would never go away. Like we grow up playing a game that we love, and you do it at a high level, and that I don't think that'll ever go away. But the process for me has always been so much more important, because for me personally, if I fell out of love with the process, then I'll probably fall out of love with the game. Because I'm not treating the game with respect for me personally. Because I know how much work that I put into it, and if I'm now showing up to the arena for game day 2 hours before the game, it's like I'm cheating the process. If I'm showing up for practice at 11 o'clock practice and I'm showing up at 10 o'clock, 10:30, I'm cheating the process. So that means something is going on where I fell out of love with the game in the process. Like if I'm not working on something. So that is what it is for me.
At the podium.
Luka, I imagine it had to be tough just watching and not being able to get out on the floor, do what you love to do, and help the team. How has it been? What were you able to analyze, and kind of what is the top of mind as you head into the offseason?
I mean, yeah, it's very frustrating. I know some people wanted me back, but obviously I wasn't close to clearing. There was some stuff in the media that went out that wasn't true. Nobody of those people, saw my MRIs, no nothing, so it wasn't really true. If I could be out there, I would be 100%. Everybody in that room knows that. But, it's been really tough. Like I said, this is the best time to play basketball. I was sad not to be able to help my team. So, and looking to the off season, obviously, I'm still doing recovery. So that's the first thing.
Luke, I think we're at about 5.5 weeks since the injury, and you told us the other day it was 8 weeks that the doctors told you. Did you even get to a point where you were able to try to ramp up, or like that was still a stage that you weren't kind of able to progress to?
Still not. I'm doing the lifting, I'm doing running and shooting, but I haven't done contact and those stuff. I wasn't clear yet, so those stuff will come in the next week or two probably.
Luka, I'm sure you didn't want to be thinking about some of this stuff now, but there are a lot of free agents on this team. The team has cap space. There are trades potentially that can be made. I'm just kind of curious, what's your vision for the future of this organization in terms of players, and what was it like to play with Austin and LeBron this season?
Honestly, I think this season, obviously didn't end how we wanted, but I feel like the last push we made, in the end of regular season, we thought that we can compete for championship. I think we had a great team. We had great chemistry, and obviously playing with AR and Bron was an unbelievable experience. They're two great players, and it was really fun to share a court with them.
Luka, when you signed your extension last summer, you helped to recruit Marcus and DA. Will you be trying to make sure you recruit LeBron, Austin, DA, and Marcus again this summer?
We'll see. Can't tell you nothing.
Hey, Luka. So we spent a lot of time last summer talking about your fitness journey to get ready for this season, and after being traded here, and obviously the year before you were coming off the finals. What is an ideal summer for just you personally, as far as how you want to come into next season and spend this off season?
First of all, I want to spend time with my daughters, and that's probably the only thing that's on my mind right now. And second of all, obviously, get the work in and come back ready for the season.
Luka, looking back at that March, how important was that run? I think you guys had 16-2 record over 18 games. How important was that to kind of see this team clicking on all cylinders for you in your second year in the organization?
It was pretty amazing. I think the feel in the locker room was very good. I think every time we stepped on the court, everybody was fighting, and most importantly, everybody was having fun. So I think that run we made was pretty special. Obviously, I think me and AR got injured in the worst moments, so that's a little bit of bad luck.
All right, guys, Luka Dončić hurting that hamstring on April 2nd, ended his season. Big game, James. He's going to take time to get healthy this summer, and Luka will be back. And he spoke on a number of different things there.
Yeah, unfortunate that injuries came when they came for him after he had really, taken a page out of LeBron's book and gotten himself in probably the best shape he's ever been in the league this year, and was off to a great start, leading the league in scoring, a distant MVP candidate for the league, and just a spark plug for the team that we couldn't afford to miss. But he talks about his offseason, what he wants to do, what he's trying to do, and I'm sure he'll come back in shape and ready to go and learn from this year, teammates, and try to be better next year. He was really good this year, but as a whole, try to be better.
And Robbie, he did write on Instagram that he will not be playing for Slovenia this summer. Said his daughters are his priority, and also getting healthy.
Yeah, you know how I feel about when you're on a contract with an NBA team and all of a sudden it ain't the Olympics and you go play for your team in your other country. I hate that because that's taken away from what I'm paying you for, because you're going to extend a lot of energy. So I'm happy, Luka. That means he's going to have an even better season coming up.
Pretty good season, didn't he?
Yeah, had a great season, but he's going to have an even better season next year. And I think now, because you think about it, he's got a full season on his belt. Depending also who comes to the team. How they, upper management deals with, the free agency and everything that's going on. So I'm excited that he has, a year on his belt. And sometimes, even though you're a superstar and the lay of the land, but you're coming into a different situation when you put on a Laker uniform.
Yeah.
You think about it, there's a lot of pressure playing in a Laker uniform. And now that you had one full year under your belt, I think you know how to navigate that a little better. And then also, when you sit back, when you injure, and you sit back and you watch a game, you really see how good certain players are. Because, you know, they don't really practice much anymore because of all the travel and whatever goes on. But I think he learned what guys can do, like, you know, what Jackson Hayes can do, what Smart can do if he comes back, what Rui can do. So it's a learning process, so I'm excited.
His month of March, I don't know if I'll forget it. I mean, it was nothing short of spectacular. Big game.
He was MVP material. Yeah. I mean, even though you had, you know, two guys kind of ahead of him, he was right there, Gita. And I think at that time in March, the most exciting, most productive player that we had in the league, and, you know, and what they were able to do as a team, all sparked by him. I mean, they played great defense, but as an individual spark plug, he was, you know, he was the guy that got them through it all.
Rui, where does it hit you the most after just the weeks of battling and the constant fighting, and even this game up to the final minute, and then, you know, kind of the season is over and you have to either reflect and get into the summer? What's top of mind for you?
You know, I think it was a tough series for us. You know, we played against the championship team. You know, they won last year. They rested 10 days before. You know, we had to battle, you know, Houston Rockets, you know, one of the most physical team in the NBA. And, you know, we fought through and we got that, you know, in Game 6, and we didn't really rest. You know, we went right into these series, you know. I think we you know, we had a lot of, we adjusted, you know, a couple times, you know, in the game plans and all that. But, you know, they're a championship for a reason. You know, they always figure it out. You know, they always, you know, adjust back. Whatever we do, you know, they have the counter. So, you know, we tried a lot of stuff, you know, but it just didn't work out. You know, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, but you know, I'm proud of this team.
Really, a lot of attention was paid to a couple other guys on your team who are impending free agents, but you have a contract decision coming up as well, and in the midst of that, we have a really strong season, even stronger playoffs. One, how did you think of your performance this year? And two, like, what do you want? What would you want to return to LA?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think about it at all. You know, I haven't talked to my agent, I haven't talked to my people at all, anything about those free agents. You know, I knew I was free agents, but, you know, I don't be thinking about that. You know, I don't be thinking about those kind of stuff. You know, I'm just trying to play, you know, get through the season, you know, make the playoff, you know, trying to win this series. You know, I was just focused on that. You know, I haven't thought about it, but, you know, I love this team. You know, I love this organization since I got here. You know, this is my 4th season with them. You know, just, you know, start from Rob, everybody. You know, the owners, Jimmy. You know, now new owner Mark. You know, I just like them. You know, I just like how they operate everything. You know, I really appreciate them. You know, so for what they've done for me. You know, they did a lot for me, you know, and yeah, I love here. But, you know, end of the day, you know, I'm not the one negotiating. You know, my agent's the negotiator. You know, I'm not a good negotiator for it. So, you know, I put on everything on my agents, you know.
Rui, where do you think you've changed most as a basketball player in your time as a Laker, and where do you think you've kind of grown most as a person?
You know, I think when I came here, even until, like, when I was a Wizards, you know, I think I didn't know my roles. You know, we had a lot of different teammates, you know, with coaches. You know, I just didn't know where you know, what kind of player I am. You know, I was, and since I got here, you know, start with you know, shout out to Coach Phil. You know, Phil Handy. He was the one that taught me through a lot of stuff. You know what I can do to stay in this league, you know, not only this team, but like staying in this league, you know, I can make an impact, you know, on this team especially. And that was one thing, first thing that he talked about is the 3 points, you know, and I think that was the biggest thing for me, because honestly I don't like shooting threes, you know. That's not my thing for me, you know. For me, I don't really like it, you know. But with the team situation, you know, how JJ coach, you know, want me to shoot a lot of threes, you know. So it's a different game. It was a different game for me, but I had to do it. And yeah, but that was the first thing the biggest thing that I think changed.
You heard what he said changed. 10 playoff games, 57% from 3, and we said it throughout these playoffs. He is a playoff player.
Yeah.
Big game. He has shown it in a Laker uniform
Yeah, I am so
Multiple
glad.
times.
I'm so glad that his growth period, expanded and he had a burst through. He was gradually getting better, but we wanted more out of Rudy because he has the talent, and he finally showed us consistently that he's a threat. That he can start, he can come off the bench, either or. And so it was good to see him, blossom this year. He got some playoff experience in some games, and he fared well, Geeter. He's a big body, can guard a lot. But that shot is what's going to, earn him a lot of credit in the NBA if he continues to shoot that ball the way he does.
I was referring to players learning from other players. If you watch the way Rui's playing, he's learning more and more from playing with guys like LeBron and Luka, and they are, I talked about in the pregame show how he was just, just vanilla player, and then he comes out and shows you, I got a little, razzle down with a little step back, and that goes to show you when you shooting the ball so well, you get comfortable. You start doing things that you normally don't do, and he's able to still do that. So I'm excited to see his growth, and I want to see where he's involved more in the offense, because when you shoot the ball so well like that, you got to have like some play. I remember we were playing with Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice wasn't the guy who can get, elusive guy with the ball. But if you got him the ball off a down screen, he knocked down a shot, and Rui's like that. So you gotta run plays for him to get him going, and because when he plays like this and he's knocking down a shot, he plays really good defense too.
Free agent, is he one of your priorities?
I think he is, because he showed us a lot this season. You think about when he first got here, his first game as a Laker was like, oh, this is what we need, and then he kind of took a back seat to like, okay, I'm gonna let everybody else do that. I'm just gonna fill in what you need, and sometimes you need guys like this that can, like James always says, a Swiss Army knife that can fill certain roles. And I think he's that guy, because it's hard to find 6'9", 6'8" guys that can shoot threes and have the body.
There's
a market for it, that's for sure.
He's not exactly like, but he's in the same making to me as a Aaron Gordon. He has that size, that physicality, can shoot the three, can defend. So yeah, he's a keeper in my opinion, for sure.
All right, Luke Kennard at the podium.
Luka, just a lot happened since you were acquired at the trade deadline in this team, and Austin and Marcus were just talking about the OKC game when Austin and Luka go down and kind of the fight that the team had from that point. What's the main takeaway for you after a painful series loss, but kind of the journey that you've been on since you got traded here?
Yeah, I'm proud of the group. Everybody's sticking together. Obviously, that first OKC game in OKC, that definitely took a turn in our season, and obviously it was late in the year, so it was tough. But I'm proud of the way that we stayed together. We found a way. We took a couple bad losses there right after that, but ever since then we started playing good basketball, and our group was really close and connected through it all. And you don't always get that in the NBA, and I think it just kind of shows how special like the group is when you go down two guys like that, and you're able to continue to lift each other up and stay together like that. Look, it probably looked at times differently than maybe you anticipated it coming from Atlanta, but how do you assess the way you impacted winning here, and what are your kind of desires for next season?
Yeah, when I first got traded here, it was, how can I make an impact? Like, I want to make an impact. I want to go win and be a part of something special. And I think just playing for the Lakers and playing with some of the greats of the game, like you don't take it for granted. I didn't, and it's an honor, and I'm blessed to be in the position that I was in, and I think for me as a player, just to be a part of an organization like this is something special, and you see it firsthand, and like I said, I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of it, and then obviously, going into year 10 next year. I want to win. That's the big thing for me, and wherever that may be. Obviously, I'm a free agent, but
I'm going to spend some time with my family and decide on some stuff later. But like I said, I've been honored and blessed to be a part of this organization. And, whether it's here or somewhere else, it's